Still working on mastering. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Yanks of the Cop. We're here. Friday's final word. The last Friday's final word of the season, actually. Today, we're your hosts, Steve, Andrew, and Sophie. And great timing for this episode. Big news out of Liverpool this morning. Konate, officially a Liverpool player, adding to our center back depth, which we had none last season. Everyone in the chat, we appreciate you all. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. We're in for a big summer. Chris Welch, good evening to you, sir. Long time no see. And Steve from Somerville, welcome back. Appreciate you. Alan, as always. You three, really appreciate you all. But Andrew, let's start with you. It's been a while since we've seen your face on here. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, stranger.
What are your thoughts on Konate being an official Liverpool player?
I think it's everything we wanted, man. I think he was priority target number one. Obviously, we needed another big time center back coming in, and we got that. There was no bussing about. They got it done right away. Everybody knew we were getting a center back. This deal was already done, I think, probably at the end of January. They couldn't afford to lose him at that time. We probably couldn't afford him at that time. So I think it all just makes sense. It's good. I just don't know who's going to be working with Virgil van Dijk. Joe Gomez has a lot to compete with now. He has Joel Matip. I don't know if he's going to come back or not. I would assume that he's going to. And I think that Joel Matip, when he's healthy, is finally out, man. I'm finally out. I'm back, baby. I'm back. But no, I think if Joel Matip's fit, he's world class. Out of those four, I think it's Virgil and Joel Matip who start for me. But a lot of people are pointing to Gomez. Now people are pointing to Konate. There's a lot of competition to partner up with Van Dijk. And the good news is that we just brought in somebody who has Champions League experience, somebody who was playing for a great team over in the Bundesliga, and he can win every head ball in the air. He has pace, he has strength, and he's only, I think, 21 or 22. So he's everything that we could have wanted. So I'm glad that they got the deal done. They didn't mess about. They just got it done, and we can relax a little bit for the center back position.
Yeah, I mean, well said, Sophie. I mean, I know you tease with homie a lot about Upamecano, all these guys. Well, now we officially got one of them in. We got Konate in. So how do you think he's going to fit in with the team? And, do you have high hopes for him being a world-class defender?
I think Konate is one of those players that, to begin with, was under the radar. He wasn't really the one that everyone was like, "Oh, we want." Like, I'm going to railroad with home here because he's not here to defend himself. Bless him. Everyone was like, "We want Upamecano. We want Upamecano. We want like this big, name." And it was always like, "Well, if we can't get Upamecano, we'll go for Konate, or we'll go for so and so and so and so." And Liverpool never go after the name you think they're going to go after. They always go after the one who's kind of lingering on the sidelines. And Konate's become a big name of recent months, but for long time before that, it was speculation. It's just like he was just on the fringe of things. But I'm really happy that we've got Konate. Like I tweeted out earlier, Virgil van Dijk and Konate, and then the Monica from Friends with the 7. Like I'm in the element right now because I've basically got 2 centre backs who are strong, who are good in the air, who are quick, who are statistically aware of the game, very good readers of the game. They've both got Champions League experience, like Andrew just said. Like, it makes so much sense. And the part, like as Andrew just said, then like obviously, possibly who's going to be possibly partnering Virgil from now? For me,
he's on fire today.
They're in a drawer somewhere with those love notes on them. Once what is long lost love. But I think for me, it'll be Gomez goes right back into his rightful place next to Virgil. I think that their partnership speaks volumes for itself, but I reckon it won't be very long before Konate comes in and takes the reins completely off Gomez. And I think Konate is going to become number 2 and push Gomez down the ranks. I really do, because as we always say on the show, availability is the best ability. If Konate is more available and is more structurally sound and sturdy than Gomez and less injury prone, he will get game time. As long as he's proven it in training, he will get game time above Gomez.
Yeah, I'm just worried about Gomez and because I know he's due back, I think the earliest out of the three between Matip, Van Dijk, and Gomez, but we don't know how he's going to react to that injury. A lot of players, when they come back from a serious injury like that, can you guys hear me okay? Am I lagging at all?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I'm lagging on my screen for some reason. But yeah, when a lot of players come back into a squad and after a major injury, it takes them a long time to get back into the swing of things, especially a guy like Joe Gomez, who, like I've said in the past, he's very reliant on his pace to correct some of the mistakes that he does make. His awareness, I think, as a center back is okay. I don't think it's world class by any means. So he does use that pace to get back into position, or if he's out of position over a floated ball over the top, he can recover pretty quickly. So I'm curious to see how that pace is affected by that knee. Because when you get the turn and burn chasing down Timo Werner, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. And when you have a guy like Konate, that just adds to it even more. So I hope that Gomez. I like Gomez. I think he's played great with Van Dijk. Even when Van Dijk went out earlier this season, Gomez took up the mantle and he was playing really well for that. I think it was 4 or 5 games until he went out. But so it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to this competition and how his knee reacts to this pressure.
Yeah, I don't think he has to worry about running down Timo Werner, because if Timo scores, he'll be offside. So there's that one point there. But no, when I think about Konate coming in, he literally just turned 22 earlier this week. So his best is yet to come. When you look at him physically, he is literally everything that you would want from a center back. He is solid. He's 6'4", muscular guy. He does well in the air. And then when you think about his technical ability, like you said, he has pace. He can win the header. He's comfortable playing with his feet. So I just think he has all the makings to be an absolute world-class player at some point in his career once he hits that, the prime for center backs, which is about 25, 26, 27. Sky's the limit for him. And I think now we have, this is really finally, the Lovren replacement that we were looking for, and a huge, massive upgrade over what Lovren was. And like you said, Joe Gomez, he showed last season that he is an absolute elite player as well. Joel Matip, when he's fit, is an elite player. We have 4 center backs who could probably start for the majority of Premier League teams, in my opinion. Absolutely awesome. First step, I hope, of many this offseason. But I think you both brought up a good point with Joe Gomez. Like, I think Joe Gomez and his partnership with Van Dijk was incredible, but that knee looks bad. That scar looks really gnarly. There's no saying that he or Virgil will be the exact same player that they were before. And somebody mentioned here, I think Stephen from Somerville earlier, good deal for Konate.
No. Let's just skip back a couple of seconds. Andrew's clocked on. You what now? Virgil is coming back exactly as he was, and I will hear nothing but he's coming back exactly as he was. I will die on this hill.
I think he's going to come back. The fact that he's come back so fast, you saw Memphis Depay tore his ACL. He was back within 6 months playing, and he looks great. He bounced back, and I think Virgil will be very similar to that. Joe Gomez, though, I'm not as confident in. I'm a little bit more worried about that one. That one looks pretty bad. And like Steven from Somerville says here, Virgil's not even human. He's a god from another planet.
This is what worries me about Gomez, is that we saw what happened to Virgil's knee. We watched it. It was like it happened in slow motion. And you look at Virgil's scar, and it's very neat, very small, very clean. And then you look at Joe Gomez, considering he went down on his own. No one was around him. No one touched him. He just went down. His knee looks like his knee is what you'd think Virgil's should have looked like after that crunch. It doesn't look good at all. Whether what's inside, because he's already had an operation on his knee before when he broke his leg and that. So maybe that's just old scar tissue on top of scar tissue. But I feel like Joe Gomez has just looked so much more sinister. Do we actually even know exactly what injury he had?
I don't know specifically what it was, but
the cloak and dagger around it. Why the secrecy? What actually happened to this kid's knee?
I mean, the fact that it was, there was no contact involved. He was just running or walking or whatever the hell he was doing, and it happened. That's the worst kind of injury that you can sustain as a player, and that's what usually when the most issues come up after surgery. So, like I said, it'll be really interesting. Just to go back, I think someone asked, Ravi asked, what center back first choice partnership do you think it'll be at the back? Like I said earlier in the show, I think that the best center back pairing is Matip and Virgil van Dijk. I think that Joel Matip is world class when he's fit, but the problem is obviously that we all know is that he's rarely ever fit. So if he is fit, if he can go a season like 2 years ago and go 10 games maybe in a row, then I would go with Joel Matip. But if it's not Joel, then I think we have to see what Konate can do and see how Joe Gomez reacts to that competition. Whoever wins out in Klopp's eyes, then they're clearly the ones who deserve to start, in my opinion. So
100%.
Spot on.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think Chris Welch makes a good point here. Not to cut you off, Sophie, but he can't expect 36 million signing to be on the bench. I reckon he's going to be like Fabinho. It takes some time to settle in and learn how to play. Fabinho started on the bench when he first came in. Spot on. I could not agree more. I think Fabinho didn't start playing until around the holiday, around Christmas time, Boxing Day, somewhere around there. And then now he's one of, if not the best number 6 in the world. So I kind of agree. I think it'll probably be Matip to start the season with Van Dijk. Considering that Gomez is still going to be rehabbing this summer, and then I think that's whenever Matip gets injured, which we know will happen at some point, that's probably when Konate will slide in and do something like that. But Sophie, what were you going to say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Have you seen that news off UEFA with the away goal ruling that came out today?
Yeah, I don't understand what's with all of these leagues trying to change everything up. I just don't understand that. Like, what's wrong with the Champions League? The Champions League is working. They want to add more teams to it. That's way too much, in my opinion. They want to make the semifinals one game and have it be like a Final Four like we see here in America. I don't know why they're trying to Americanize everything, but it's a real pain in my ass.
Well, I'm glad the Americans said that, not the British. I get accused of being anti-American if I said that. There's 2v1 here and I get bullied. I don't know. I think if you want to get rid of anything out of Champions League football, like get rid of the extra time that's needed in that, like when you get to the finals and semi-finals, like get rid of the extra time. Because to me, I've never understood that. Why play 90 minutes if you can't score or you can't break away in 90 minutes? Give them a break and go straight into penalties. Why do you need to play another half an hour of football? Why do you need to play 2 15-minute halves? I don't understand it. It just puts the players at much more injury risk. And then after that half an hour, you want them to go and play another. God knows. You looked at the Man United game again the other day, the final. It was 10-11 on penalties. That went on for hours and hours and hours and hours after extra time, which didn't need to be there, in my opinion. I personally don't understand what the issue with the away goals is. Because the away goals, they're there for a reason. Because, for example, now, if you get rid of the away goal rule and away goals mean the exact same as home goals, when you're at home, you've got nothing to defend, really, because you go, oh, well, they don't need their goals scored just as much as ours. And when you're away, you don't need to attack as much because you go, well, their goal means the same to us. And if you break even, you end on 3-3, for example, what are you going to do then? Go to penalties.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if it has something to do with UEFA trying to sell more corporate seating. Because in the Champions League final, each team is allocated a certain number of tickets. I think this year it's like 10,000 each, right? Because of COVID. Maybe they want to change. Maybe they want to allow more corporate seating, kind of like what the Super Bowl does here in America. Like, again, Americanizing the event. Just a theory. I don't know if it's anything, concrete or anything, but maybe that's one of the reasons why. Maybe they just want to. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just trying to make more money out of this thing.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them because they're bringing in the UEFA Conference League and everything, aren't they? And I just don't understand why of all the things you want to fix about football, VAR is still a massive problem, and yet you want to get rid of the away goals. Like, they're the thing. Like, listen to the fans. Not one fan has had to go and get rid of the away goal rule. We'd also have to go and sort fucking VAR out or get rid of it completely. and they've decided to go and get rid of an away goal rule, which has worked perfectly fine for years and years. Has no problem at all. No fan has got a problem. I like the away goal rule. I think it benefits the attacking team, the away team, definitely. It gives a fire to the competition. I just don't understand why they want to get rid of it, but if it goes, I'll be really annoyed.
Yeah,
it reminds me of that Friends meme where it's Phoebe and Joey, and like they repeat each other like back and forth, and then the last one it's like fix VAR, and then Joey's just like fix the away goal rule, which no one's talking about. You know what I mean?
Lord, je m'appelle. Lord, take together. Je m'appelle.
So I really don't get it. And I think Ravi, just to kind of wrap this up, I think Ravi makes a good point. The away goal gives teams something to fight for. Yeah. So I think, you said it, right? You said that exactly too. It makes all of a sudden you win, you lose. You get one away goal, but you lose 3-1 on the road. Then you come back, win 2-0 at home. Like you deserve to get credit for that shutout at home and to go through. Again, it's just, fixing the problem that doesn't exist really doesn't make sense. But hey, that's FIFA and UEFA in a nutshell for you. So I'm not surprised there. But I wanted to get to one other thing in the chat here from Ravi, based off of the transfers. Who else do you think we buy in the summer? I know we're going to make an announcement at the end of the show about a pretty awesome thing to kick off the transfer window coming in a couple weeks. Major guest coming on with us, but. Really quick, I know we spend a lot of time talking about this, but just so we can answer the question for these people, what do you think are the positions that you'd want to see strengthened? I've seen I had one funny chat here from Alan here saying someone put my mind at ease that Adrian won't stay. So what are some positions, or like maybe not even positions, but just like needs on this team that you want to see filled?
I'm just going to say it dead quick, get it out the way. I think we've covered this till we're blue in the face. We need somebody in the midfield to cover Gini, maybe not an exact Gini replacement like for like, but we need somebody in there. Curtis Jones isn't ready to step up to first team football just yet, but will be soon. He needs time. We need somebody who can rotate between Thiago and Hendo, can have a little bit of a break as well, because we don't want to run our players into the ground again like we've been doing the past few years. It's not going to work anymore. The injuries are a result of us working them into the ground and overplaying them. So definitely need somebody in the midfield. I personally would like Aouar or Marlon. I would like either of those two players. Whether they're going to be someone that Liverpool are going to look at buying feasibly is another thing, completely in its entirety. And I do think we need just at least another forward as well, or a winger, just somebody. There's nobody in right back position that I would even consider being a feasible option right now. There just isn't anybody in the transfer window. There's no one that I'm looking at the market going, yeah, they'd be all right. So for me, if anything, definitely needs to be, if we only do one more thing, it needs to be someone in midfield for me.
Yeah, I think, well, real quick for Gini 20, the new Champions League rule being proposed is to get rid of the 2 legs of the semifinals and make it kind of like a Final Four in the neutral location where the final will be played. So it'll just be 1 game for each semifinal and then 1 game for the final. So away goals will be ruled out for that. But in terms of signings, the big one was Konate for me. Obviously, that's a huge one. I'm not too concerned about a backup goalkeeper. I don't think I think Klopp actually said that he would like to have Adrian come back. But I mean, at this point, he's a 3rd string keeper. If I was Adrian, I'd want to get out of here. So I'm confident in Kelleher as a backup. I thought he played pretty well. He's a good shot stopper. I'm not sure how good he is in the air or when he's contested on a corner. I think he still has a lot to prove there. But with his feet, he's almost as good as Alisson, in my opinion. He keeps it a little more simple than Alisson does too. So you don't have a heart attack every time he gets the ball. But for me, obviously, I think Wahomey actually tweeted earlier that center back is signed, but now we still have to sign a midfielder and a forward. And I would agree with that. I think that Origi and Shaqiri should be on their way out. Harry Wilson should be on his way out. So that means, you got to bring somebody else in. I know Harvey Elliott is coming back, so I'll be interested to see how he does in preseason. after a phenomenal season in the championship. I thought he was fantastic from what I saw. I think he had 8 goals and 11 assists, something like that. So pretty solid for an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old. But for me, Gini Wijnaldum those are massive, massive boots to fill, especially after this past season where we saw he played pretty much every game. And like Sophie said earlier on in this chat or in this episode, availabilities and abilities. So now that Gini's gone, we have Henderson, Thiago, and Fabinho starting in the midfield. But if one of them gets injured, which happened to each of them last year, who's going to come off the bench? You have Curtis Jones, who I thought played really well this year for the few games that he played in the middle of the season. But is he ready to start game in, game out? I don't think so. Naby Keita, not reliable. Oxlade-Chamberlain, not reliable. Is that it after Gini? No, James Milner is 34 years old. So clearly we need somebody else to come in. I know Basuma from Brighton is somebody that people have been talking about. And I think a lot of people are saying that. But if he is reliable, I mean, maybe not with a price tag. I don't know.
He's not reliable. That's the thing. He gives so many fouls away. He gets carded so much. Like, we moaned about when Thiago first started playing for Liverpool, how he was always going in for, like, the slide tackle. He was always getting a yellow card. It's like, what minute is Thiago going to get booked? Oh, we've so much better the toast. Let's mute them.
Yeah, okay. Good job.
Thanks. I did it. Yay. But I just think Basuma, he's a very, from what I've seen of him, what I can see from the stats and everything, he's a very rushed player. He doesn't think about what he's going to do. He just gets the ball and he's like a dog with a bone. He just kicks it. He always wants to take a shot and his shots go wide. They hit the crossbar. They go right over. I don't want a midfielder who gets the ball at his feet and just hoofs it at the goal all the time. I want a midfielder that feels confident to do that when it's the right moment and reads the game properly to do that. But he's not reading the game properly. He's just hoofballing it and hoping for the best. Or he's just getting absolutely battered. And getting yellow cards left, right, and centre. I don't want to play like that. That's not the way Gini played.
Yeah.
And I know you can't get an exact Gini replica because they're impossible shoes to fill. It's like trying to replace Virgil with a Virgil. It's not going to happen. I just don't think he's the right fit. I mean, if we sign him, okay, that's the club's decision. I just personally don't see the fit. I don't understand the hype about Basuma. I don't know whether it's just people are getting caught up in the the narrative of it all and overhyping Basuma that he's going to be this amazing player when he comes to Liverpool. He's going to work under Klopp. I don't really know what it is. I don't see it. I don't understand it to me personally.
I mean, to be honest though, if you look at a lot of the midfielders that we signed, including Gini Wijnaldum, including Jordan Henderson, James Milner. A lot of people scoffed at these signings, and then Jurgen Klopp took them under his wing and turned them into world-class midfielders. So I mean, under Jurgen Klopp's midfield, we're not looking for a flashy Coutinho-like player anymore. We're looking for a workhorse. We're looking for somebody who can box to box, be all over the pitch, can cover our. I don't know him. Damn it.
That's who I want. That's who I want.
What team does he play for? Who's Florent? Who's this?
No, how he plays? Is it Dortmund?
Yeah, I don't know him.
I think it's Dortmund. I can't remember.
I think we're going to be signing somebody who's not on anybody's radar. I don't think it's going to be Basuma. I think it's going to be like a Jota-like signing where maybe we have somebody who everybody thinks we're going to sign, and we're going to end up signing somebody else who is just not on the radar at all. So it'll be really interesting to see what the team does.
Sorry.
Borussia Mönchengladbach, yeah, okay.
Sorry, I don't know why I thought Dortmund. It's not. It's
yeah. I actually haven't seen him play, unfortunately. I don't watch much in the Bundesliga, but I mean,
very good.
Clearly we need somebody because we can't rely on Milner, Ox, or Naby Keita, or even Curtis Jones for that matter. So we need somebody else to come in, somebody who's reliable, somebody who can play with Fabinho and Thiago and Endo, and who can just slide in there and doesn't need time to get adjusted to the Premier League. I would actually prefer somebody in the Premier League if possible. Someone like Ruben Neves was shouted at before. Maybe someone like him. I don't know. Whoever comes in, I'm confident. I'm confident Klopp will turn him into a great midfielder. But I don't know if he can replace Gini Wijnaldum.
No, I don't think he can ever replace Gini Wijnaldum. That's asking above and beyond, isn't it? I think we've got to, as fans, come away from this narrative that we want to replace a player like Gini with another Gini, because you're not going to get another Gini if it was like that. If it was that easy, everybody would just replace their favourite players with another favourite player.
Yeah, like this guy Tielemans on Leicester. I love Yuri Tielemans. I think he's a phenomenal player, but I don't think Leicester are going to sell him. Yeah,
no, they want a ridiculous price. I'd rather have Newhouse, however you say his name. I'm going to butcher his name anyway. I'd rather have him or Marlon. However, Newhouse is very, very quick. He's very, very gifted. He's wonderful. You're going to have to go and watch some of his games, some of his stuff. He's very, very good. However, if we had to get somebody from the Premier League, I'd like Neves from Wolves. For me, he fits our style. He's someone that I could see, like you've just said, just slotting in, picking up the slack where it's needed, and doesn't necessarily need to be an out-and-out starter every single game. Is happy to be a team player. That's what I'd like if we had to have a Premier League player. Just don't want Basuma. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, Ruben Neves doesn't score simple goals. Always bangers. Yeah, that's true. I think he's a younger player. I think he's more of like a deep sitting midfielder though, kind of like a Thiago would be. So I don't know if he's exactly the guy that we would need or that we'd be looking out for. I don't know. I know everyone's pointing to Aouar. I think he's on the top priority list for a lot of different teams, though. I know Arsenal are in for him. I'm sure there's some other Premier League teams that are in for him. But someone said it earlier on in the chat that Kane could be going to United or maybe even City. City was trying to sign somebody else. Who was it? Someone wrote it up. I don't even pay attention. Jack Grealish, I think Aunt Dicko said. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of movement this summer, especially now that teams have some security that the fans are coming back. There's going to be money coming into the clubs again. Yeah, Neves shoots outside the box. Haven't had that since Ox did a little bit of that.
Ox barely did anything. I
think Ox has scored more goals than Ruben Neves.
The only thing that Ox is shooting is
What were you going to say?
We'll get banned. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, don't say it. I think I know what you're going to say. Don't say that.
I was going to say it, and I was like, no, don't say that. No.
Yeah, Alan saying that Jane Pierce saying that we need to sell to buy. Yeah, I mean, FSG are always going to be that club. But, if we sell Origi, Grujic, Harry Wilson, Shaqiri, then that's money in the bank that we can spend on players. And I think we got 40 million for Champions League. So that's massive as well. So I mean, there's definitely some money coming in, and they understand that in order to keep up with Man City, who are definitely going to be spending more, and if they win the Champions League, we can expect probably another big signing for them as well. So we need to keep up with them for sure.
But then again, at the end of the day, what the club choose to do, this transfer window is what the club choose to do. But I think it's boding well for us, considering the fact that the transfer window hasn't even opened yet. It doesn't even open for another 11 days. And 11, 12 days, what are we on now, 28, 30 days? Yeah, 12 days. It doesn't open for nearly 2 weeks still. And we've already got a signing underway. We've already got, look at our centre-back squad depth now. That makes me happy looking at that. I kind of go, so I can breathe a little bit. So now my attention's on the midfield and the front three. That's where my attention. I'm happy with the back now. I can breathe again, and I'm looking at them. But Fabrizio Romano put out and said that this isn't the only bit of business Liverpool are doing this summer. And I don't think for 1 second we're going to go out and out and buy millions and millions of players. But I think we might get another one or two, another one good signing. Let's do it. Have you just kicked him out again? Stop it.
No, all of a sudden you're trying to take control of things. I used to take control of these things, but now I gave you the password and you're starting to click little buttons here and there. You're clicking little buttons.
Up in the shirt.
Shut up. Hang on.
Anyway, so where were we? Straight out kicked him.
Kick him out again.
I think he may have stepped away for a second anyway, actually.
I'm
But
gonna keep kicking him out anyway. Every time he comes back in, I'm just gonna kick him out.
I don't know what I missed.
And we were just talking about what signs we want to do, like midfield. We were talking about Ruben Neves, Basuma, and Neuhaus. So you haven't really missed much. We were kind of just talking about transfer targets, but
yeah, I mean, Doug is saying that Sevilla reportedly bid 14 million for Shaqiri. I think they bid that last year for him as well.
Have him.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Chris Welcher is a good point. If we loan these guys again, like, be ridiculous. Take whatever you can for these guys at this point, and for their careers as well. Completely agree. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think Konate is a huge check mark already. I think we need a goal scoring forward, whether you want to say it's a winger or a striker, either one. I think I honestly would prefer a striker and a winger, but I think probably just a backup striker would work for me. And then another midfielder. And honestly, I think that would be totally fine for me. And at that point, it would just depend on outgoings. If Girden, Ox, Keita, anyone, like two out of three of those guys leave, then maybe bring in another guy just to, fill up. But I don't think any of them are going to leave either. No, I don't.
Yeah, I was reading James Pierce's article today in The Athletic, and he said that Klopp is probably going to stick to his guns and stick with Keita and Ox. Keita, I'm not surprised about. I actually kind of thought he was going to stick with him, but Ox, I'm surprised. One, that we want to keep Ox, but two, that Ox wants to stay. Like, if I was Ox, wouldn't you want to go to like West Ham or someone like? I know there were links to West Ham. Like, if you can get first team football, I think he's 27, 28 still, something like that. He has 2 good years left until he starts slowly going downhill. But
these players, for me, they're doing like a little bit of an oh my god, what Mesut Ozil, just kind of hanging on, getting wages, getting paid to do nothing really. Like, Ox hasn't done anything. Bar that goal the other day, he hasn't done anything really since he got his ACL injury. Before then, he was an absolute baller. Since then, he's just frightened of everything. Like, Xherdan Shaqiri, he was a power cube, and then he did not, and he lost the charger for him. Like, someone plug him back in, and like, because he's running on like 1%, he's clinging on for dear life, and it's not working anymore. And Naby Keita spends, as Chris says, more time in a fucking hospital bed. Like, the money spent on his rehab must be heavily outweighing a lot of cost. Because I can't imagine that's cheap as constant rehab. He got injured waking up and getting out of bed. He stretches and he hurts himself. But, I mean, it just... I think the transfers we're going to make are going to be transfers we make. We can sit here all day and argue who we want, why we want them, when we want them. But I think the club know what they're going to do, don't they? And we've just kind of got to wait and see. Wait for the transfer window to open and see what happens, who's going to be available, who's got release clauses, who's got contracts due up, etc., etc. I think for now, there's not really a lot we can do or talk about until it opens next week, because most clubs are going to keep their cards to the chest for now to try and drive prices up.
Yep. Completely agree.
Yeah. But we can always go back to this when we do transfer talk. So.
Yeah, but Doug, my question is, how many of those games were starts?
Yeah,
I bet less than half.
Mm-hmm.
Less than half of those games were starts.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. And, we're going to dive into this more when the transfer window opens. Kind of hinted at earlier, we're going to have James Pierce join the show, talk everything Liverpool transfers, what he's hearing. He's been a recurring guest for us, so we're going to have him on. And we'll also have Chris Williams to hop on to give us a Konate breakdown. He's a Bundesliga writer, Liverpool fan. So make sure to tune out for that. James Pierce, 2 weeks. It's going to be an awesome, awesome show. Make sure you're there. But to kind of get away from transfer talk, I guess actually maybe the last thing I just wanted to cover, Kabk officially going back to Schalke, being linked to a couple Premier League teams, Leicester City being one. I think that'd be a great fit for him. But I do feel for the lad. Never got to play in front of the Anfield faithful, and he was definitely a big reason why we got top three coming in and, doing a solid job for us, being thrown into the fire, not getting that time just to kind of get worked in. So he'll always, again, appreciate everything that he did. Again, I'd rather have a guy like Konate over him, but I think his future is very bright no matter where it goes. But any thoughts?
I think that's testament to the fact that Nat Phillips played so well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that he ended, Nat Phillips was one of the big reasons why we went, I think it was 10 unbeaten or something like that in the last 2 months of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think Nat Phillips actually pushed Kabk out. Unfortunately, Kabk got injured and Natty Phillips stepped in.
He did, yeah. And do you know what? As both of you have just said, Kabk came in and he wasn't even our first choice in the last-ditch effort. We were going in for Kabk before we went in for him. He was literally the last minute. He was the only one available, and he did a good job for us. And I wish it had worked out differently for him with us. I wish he'd have been able to stay, but unfortunately, Nat Phillips pushed his nose out. Nat Phillips has cemented his side there if he wants to stay. And unfortunately, that's just the way the world of football works sometimes, There are bigger and better players than him right now. Liverpool is a very big club, and we don't take players who are at the very start of their development unless they've got massive, massive instant potential, where we can see results quite quickly with them. And we don't see that with Kabk. That doesn't mean that in 3-4 years' time, Kabak's not going to be an absolute beast and we'll go back in for him. That might be the case. But right now, being at Liverpool is not the right thing for Kabk, knowing that we've got Virgil, we've got Gomez, we've got Matic, we've got Konate, still Nat Phillips. If Nat Phillips stays, he's going to be 6th in the pecking order. You don't want to be 6th in the pecking order when you're 20. No chance. So you know what? As Steve just said, I'll be forever grateful for him. I'm very thankful for everything he did. He did us a great favour. But you need to go and continue your career development. And if it's meant to be, we will go back in for you if your career develops. And if not, go and enjoy your football career, because I'm sure he'll have a wonderful career as a centre-back. He's very good. He's just not what Liverpool want right now. And that's it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well said.
But speaking to the guys who do work for Liverpool right now, Alisson, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Henderson, Salah, all 5. I know Alisson and Fabinho are very close to contract extensions, which is absolutely massive. And Henderson, Van Dijk, and Salah appear to be the next guys on the list. Robbo came out and said he wants to retire, a Liverpool player. I think that's going to be another area of focus this summer is can we lock these guys up, especially with Klopp's contract coming up in, 3 years' time? It's important to lock these guys up for maybe those first couple of years with whoever comes after Klopp. So what are your guys' thoughts on those guys getting extensions? I think it's good. Yeah,
definitely. I think, Steve, you just hit the nail on the head there. That's literally all you can say about it. We need to wrap those lads up. We need to get their contracts extended. Yes, I know Virgil did one, was it last year or the year before, which kept until 2022, 23. But we need those key players, those influential players there for the follow through after Klopp goes for those first few years. I don't think there's any other way forward for that. It needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, we've kind of covered on everything. To be fair, there's not really a lot of news. Season's finished. Transfer window's not quite open. Unless you guys have got anything else you want to talk about, should we just go straight into?
I got to catch a flight.
Yeah, you just got to catch a flight. Just real quick, would you guys have voted Salah Premier League player? Liverpool player of the season?
Yeah,
definitely. He definitely deserves it.
I'll say close second is Fabinho, but yeah, I think he was definitely deserved. If that were his goals, we wouldn't have finished top 3, so that's for sure. Yeah, let's get into some very, very fun part of the show. We're getting into trivia time.
Trivia! Oh, you remembered the little videos this time?
Oh, of course, can't forget it.
Okay, right. They're just fun ones to say because I know you shout at me when I get all deep and meaningful and. If it makes you feel better, I was talking to my mum about those questions last night, and my mum looked at me like I had 6 heads and was like, "What did I raise?" And I was like, "Well, not my fault." But anyway, okay. If you won the lottery tomorrow, what would you do with your winnings?
I talk about this a lot. My girlfriend and I talk about this all the time. I think if I were to win the lottery, I would definitely quit my job, number one, and invest a lot of that money into places. But then I think for me, I would still work, but I would open like a dog, like an animal shelter, like a dog shelter, and just like have the most badass dog shelter and just be able to play with puppies all day and take care of them until they find a new home. And then I'd also buy a house on the East Coast, buy a house on the West Coast, buy a house in Europe, be able to travel a little bit.
I would pay off my student debt because in the States here, we don't get university paid for us. We have to pay for it. So I would pay that off. I would buy a house in Vermont. I would buy a house in Massachusetts, and I would buy season tickets to Liverpool, to Anfield. Those would be my big ones. They would be
really good. So I think about this, and I always think like if I won like the jackpot, like the biggest, huge, like the Euro Millions type money, I would go and build my own home in the middle of the countryside with a big, huge garden. I like field type garden, acres and acres of land. I'd build like Steve an animal sanctuary reserve on there. Because I always think if I had the money, I'd take every dog that I could find that was abandoned or abused, and I love them. Chris, you just want him to stop being injured. That's all.
I love this from Doug, by the way. I love caramel ice cream. That is amazing.
Might need a gym membership too, though.
Buy the gym. Definitely buy a big house like that. I would quit my job. I would give money to animal charities. I would pay off my sisters and my mum and dad's mortgages so they had their homes if they wanted them or buy them a new one. And yeah, that's what I did. And then I just go on a shit ton of holidays all the time, wherever I wanted.
Love it.
Oh, and I'd invest in Liverpool Football Club if I had enough, if I won enough. I'd invest. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Number 2. What is your favorite comedian, retired comedian, and present comedian?
For me, he actually went into retirement and then came back recently. So he's gonna be both of those for me. It's Dave Chappelle. I think Dave Chappelle is absolutely hilarious. He makes fun of all races, which is hilarious as well. So it's just the way he does it is just so good. He brings up a lot of good points as well. Does a lot for the community. Does a lot for the continent of Africa. I think he goes to Kenya once a year now and tries to help out over there. So great guy, one of the funniest guys on the planet. And if you haven't checked him out, go on YouTube and listen to some of his best stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I don't find him that funny.
Ooh. You don't find him funny?
That funny. I don't find him that funny. I don't know whether it's because I'm Brit. Oh, fucking hell, here we go.
Hot take.
I don't know whether it's because I'm British and I tend to like British comedians.
Oh.
With that, I need to go catch my.
Bye.
I need to go catch my flight.
Go on, try again.
Bye.
He's gone.
He's gone for good now.
All right, we'll finish off. I don't know whether it's because I'm British and I like British comedians more than American comedians. I'm not really that fussed on them. I don't mean this to sound rude, but I don't really find you funny. Like, I find you funny to laugh at, not laugh with. I like it when British comedians take the piss out of you. Like, that's I don't know, maybe that's just the British humour. My past comedian was Lee Evans. Like, I grew up with Lee Evans. Like, he was hilarious. Like, his character voices in The Monkey Man, like, I just thought it slapstick comedy. He was hilarious. Current favourite would be Jack Whitehall, because he just takes the piss out of everybody.
Yeah.
Love him. Absolutely love him. Just think he's hilarious. Yeah. What about yours?
So I like Dave Chappelle too, but since Andrew used that one, I would say for me right now would probably be Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr is absolutely hilarious. And then I have to go, if I'm thinking about somebody who's retired, Dan Cook in his prime was absolutely hilarious. He's in a few movies and stuff. I don't know what happened to him. He hasn't been around at all, but yeah, he was definitely really funny. He had some really good jokes.
I do love comedians. I do find them quite funny. Okay, last one to finish off with. If you could listen to one band from your teenage years forever, and it was the only thing you could listen to, what would it be?
Ooh. I'd probably say Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's a little rock band. They got a lot of different genres that they can play in the rock. They have some slower stuff, they have some hard stuff. So I think for me that's some of my earliest childhood memories was with my best friend, who's actually my roommate right now. Just listening to him strum guitar to Red Hot Chili Peppers songs. So I think that would be it for me.
That would be for you. I think for me, I'd have to pick one that I go back to all the time. Like whenever I go back into that phase, straight away I go for You Me at 6.
Mm-hmm.
They are the band. They came out when I was 12 or 13. And they just defined my teenage years. Like I went into my little emo phase with them. I came out my emo phase with their music. Like they went into their 20s and late 20s, and I went into so I've like followed their age with mine type thing. So where I've been at my stage in my life, their music has been very similar. So I think I could just listen to You Me at 6 forever and a day. I love them.
I like it.
But yeah, that's all I've got, unless you have anything.
I think that's a good one to end on. That was a good question there at the end. I think that's good. And, we got another loaded show tomorrow. So I think it's a good place to cut it up. But everyone in the chat, we appreciate you all. We'll be back tomorrow, actually, for our season review show. Full team will be in the house for this one, and that'll be good. And then, like we said, make sure you tune in for our James Pierce show coming next week, I believe, or the week after. I'm not positive. Is it next week?
Our James Pierce show is the 9th.
Yeah, so next week.
Not next week, the week after. A week on Wednesday.
Yeah, a week from Wednesday. We'll have James Pierce on, talking all transfers. That's the episode to come to. If you want to talk about transfers, we'll be there. It's the only thing we're going to talk about. If you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you all. But otherwise, we'll be back same time tomorrow for the season review show. So up to Reds. We'll see you then.
See you guys.